Hi, my name is Elizabeth Urgell. Today I will be presenting Maslow's hierarchy of needs as it relates to sense of belonging. Um, in this presentation, we will discuss the formulation of Maslow's hierarchy. We will look at the constructs involved with the pyramid and how they're defined. We will also discuss its refinement by those who felt it needed revision or further clarifications. Finally, we will look at this theory, how it's been applied in the literature, and how it can be applied to current research. And then finally, the references. Abraham Maslow was part of a movement of researchers interested in the personal growth of humans and their sense of self. The sense of self is the essence of human personality, as Thomas has noted, and it influences the experiences they have in life. Maslow's theory was concerned with respecting the worth of each person and examining how healthy, well adjusted people functioned. Maslow posited that humans are motivated by needs that can be categorized into five sections that formed a pyramid, with the most basic needs in the lower end of the pyramid. The pyramid has been described by Kenrick and his associates as containing a developmental priority, connecting the motivation to fulfill the need and the developmental stage an individual is in, such as the example they provided of a baby only motivated to fulfill the most basic physiological needs until they're more cognizant of needing more. The most basic of needs are those that are driven by a sense of survival: food, drink, rest, air. Maslow noted that these needs are about the pursuit of achieving homeostasis or balance in the body. Homeostasis referring to the body's need to maintain water content, minerals, vitamins, protein, fats, and other bodily items that are needed to function in a normal state. He posited that an individual who is missing all of their needs on the hierarchy will aim to fulfill the basic physiological ones above all else first. Once these are fulfilled, one requires safety and security. These are met by the ways of laws that provide order and limits that are imposed to protect us from harming ourselves. However, Maslow was quick to point out that these needs of safety are more highly evident in infants and young children, as they are not yet able to control their emotions, and they show their need for this much more than adults do. Another way children show their desire for safety is through their preference for a stable routine. These two sets of physiological and safety needs are described as deficiency needs. The next three sets are known as growth needs, or those that are needed for self actualization. The first of the three involves those needs that are tied to a sense of belonging and being loved, whether from family, lovers, or friends. Maslow explains that with the basic physiological and safety needs met, one will begin to yearn for love and affection from others, as well as a need to belong, and that these needs, when unmet, are the causes of many maladjustments in humans. The fourth tier is regarding self esteem and respect. Self respect, which Maslow then separated into two categories: one in which a person is successful in achievements, confident in their abilities, and the other in which they're recognized, respected, and appreciated for what they can do. Without this, Maslow noted that issues with self worth may arise, and one may feel inferior or weak. Finally, the top of the pyramid is the need for self actualization. This self actualization determined by Maslow was noted by Miriam and Biorema as the need for one to reach their fullest potential, which is specific to each person. This maximally healthy personality is able to realize their full potential with talents, a vocation, or their destiny, as Thomas put it. However, there are arguments that this hierarchy against the hierarchy that's suggested, that needs may reoccur, such as basic physiological needs when one loses a job suddenly and they're found to be homeless. Um, they also found that needs do not progress in a developmental or sequential fashion and that they are dependent on the culture of the person and the socio political climate of the time. One culture's idea of successful self actualization may not be the same as another's, so it's very subjective, as Winston pointed out. Another argument contends that self actualization is not fully defined, and having one's basic needs met does not always lead to self actualization. In Maslow's original formulation in 1943, he discussed that while the hierarchy appeared to be fixed, it is not as rigid as it may be implied and does not require 100% satisfaction to move on to another need. He later refined his theory to in the third edition of his book, Motivation and Personality in 1987, to clarify that needs are not required to be met in full before moving up to the next set. Other revisions suggested by Kenrick and his associates in 2010 was to extend this hierarchy from 5 to 7 tiers, which still retained the bottom 3 tiers of Maslow's original hierarchy, but they added the acquisition of a mate, the retention of that mate, and parenting at the top of the tier, rather than self actualization, which they suggested was not fundamentally necessary. So, how does Maslow's theory get used in literature, or how has it been used? Tichy in 2017 used Maslow's hierarchy as a foundation for understanding how a particular charter school system supported students through their traumatic exposures to help them fulfill their most basic needs. The group of children used in this study attended 3 high schools in this charter school system in a rural district in Texas, and it maintained a high graduation rate despite demonstrating high risk of dropouts from the students due to poverty, neighborhood violence, witnessing drug abuse. The school placed a special emphasis on resilience and how this to support students in their quest for self-actualization. The study concluded that while all of the questionnaires and interviews with students and alumni showed all levels of Maslow's hierarchy had been supported by the school, it was difficult to determine whether they explicitly fulfilled self actualization, although the researcher feels the responses from some of the alumni show signs of it. The school functioned as a protective factor for these students against the adverse experiences and trauma that affected them in their home lives. Another study conducted in 2020 also looked at high school students and their sense of belonging or feeling connected to others as foster children in the educational system. This case study noted high rates of trauma associated with youth in the foster care system and increased challenges transitioning into adulthood. The study branched out from Maslow's research on motivation and needs, and it was posited that students need to belong drive their motivation to participate in the school setting. The high school students in this study confirmed negative connotations with being a foster kid often cut them off from connecting with their teachers or their peers. They usually felt embarrassed to share that they were living in a foster home because of the perceived changes in their peers' reactions to them. They also experienced more frequent changes while in the system, more frequent home and school changes, which cut off their chances of establishing solid friendships and connections. The study showcased the importance of having the need to belong fulfilled in order to allow students the opportunity to focus on their academics. A way to apply this theory to a current issue is to extend Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the early childhood classroom to help students feel a sense of belonging, a greater sense of belonging from a younger age. The public school system is often the only safe place where students feel stability and security in their lives. Yet, one study by Riley in 2019 noted that this is also an area where students feel like they don't belong. Students who come from homes of low socioeconomic statuses are at an even greater risk of feeling excluded in the school system. Feelings of not belonging have dire consequences as it can lead to urges to harm oneself, issues with body image, and can lead to children looking for that sense of belonging in the wrong place, like gangs. It was also noted that an increase in feelings of belonging in students can also increase academic and psychological well being. Future studies can examine how or the impact of positive classroom culture in high poverty schools for early childhood classrooms and the longitudinal the length of how it affects them as they get older, you know, implications as they get older in the school system. And then these are the references, and I want to thank you for listening. Have a great day.